Three, two, one. Good afternoon, everyone, or night or morning. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this presentation. Today, I will be presenting a comparative analysis of Asian American and European American families, focusing specifically on parenting. Parenting is a universal experience, but the ways in which parents nurture and guide their children can differ dramatically based on cultural values. These differences shape not only individual families, but also broader social and academic trajectories of children. My name is Justin Kang, and I chose this topic because understanding these differences is essential in the multicultural society or melting pot of like ours. By examining parenting practices, we can learn deeper insights into the cultural forces that shape our lives and develop a greater appreciation for the diversity that exists in this country. Without further ado, let's dig in. For today's agenda, we'll first go to the abstract, then I'll discuss the research topic and significance, thesis statement, then move swiftly towards the analysis of this presentation. So parenting practices differ significantly across cultures. This presentation examines how Asian American parenting, often labeled as authoritarian, and European American parenting, typically categorized as authoritative, influence child development. The analysis focused on cultural values, societal perceptions, and outcomes like academic achievement and family cohesion, aiming to challenge Western-centric assumptions about parenting norms. Moving forward, the research topic of my research is the impact of culturally specifically analyzing adolescent children and looking into their child development. We know that parenting plays a big role in shaping a child's behavior, character, academic success, and overall ability to navigate society. However, the dominant narrative around parenting in the United States is often based on Western ideals, which overlooks the diversity, like Asian Americans, that exists in our multicultural society. And so, the significance of this research is one that it challenges the universality of Western parenting norms, provides a multicultural perspective for sociologists, educators, and policymakers, and promotes inclusivity and cultural understanding for Asian Americans. And ultimately, just more unity in the differences that exist in this country. So, my central argument / my thesis statement is that differences in parental warmth, control, and sacrifice between Asian American and European American families reveal diverse ways of nurturing and socializing children. This analysis challenges Western-centric parenting ideals by emphasizing the importance of cultural context. Yeah. So, firstly, I would like to look into the idea of authoritarian versus authoritative parenting. I looked into this through external sources. First, let's define this. European American parents often adopt a authoritative style. This means they balance control with warmth and responsiveness, creating an environment where children feel really supported, but also encouraged to be independent. In contrast, Asian Americans parents tend to follow an authoritarian approach. This is characterized by high control, strict discipline, and high expectations. However, it's important to challenge the negative connotations of the term authoritarian. Ruth Chow in 1994 introduced the concept of training instead, which reframes this approach as intentional guidance. In this context, strictness reflects based on cultural values like filial piety and the belief that effort is more important than innate ability. So, while Western observers may see authoritarian parenting as cold or controlling, it is actually rooted in care and a desire to see the children succeed. Next slide, we'll look into academic achievement. Through this, I use both course materials 3.1 and 2.3, but also external sources. One of the most visible outcomes of parenting styles is academic performance. Asian American students often excel academically, achieving higher GPAs and college enrollment rates than their peers. This success is largely due to structured parenting, which prioritizes discipline and long term goals. Practices like strict scheduling and consistent monitoring create an environment where academic success is expected and supported. For example, Tang and Van and Russell both highlight how these parenting practices foster resilience and persistence in children. Um, Additionally, Coach and Emery emphasize that strong familial support systems provide a foundation for success, even in marginalized communities. On the other hand, European American children benefit from the authoritative style, which encourages self directed learning and intrinsic motivation. This shows that different styles can lead to different types of success, depending on the goals and values of each respective family. So it's really important to realize that is academic success the best measure of good parenting, or does it reflect societal pressures? And thus, we can see the differences in achievement, but to what extent is academic achievement valued through GPAs and college enrollment, or through self-directed learning and finding intrinsic value and finding self and motivation, which could all be under the umbrella of achievement. Furthermore, looking into family cohesion, another important area is to consider is family dynamics. Asian American parenting often fosters interdependence, where family members rely on one another for emotional and practical support. Van and Russell emphasize that this collective approach creates strong familial bonds and enhances emotional security. In contrast, European American parenting emphasizes individuality. Open communication allows children to express themselves freely and develop independence. Both approaches prioritize emotional well being, but they align with very different cultural values. This contrast is a reminder that family cohesion looks very different across cultures, but should be meaningful in both contexts. In the image on the right, we can see a Venn diagram. Asian Americans families are in the middle of independent and dependent, in a sense interdependent, while European American families can be seen in the red circle, where it's purely independent. So, going into societal perceptions, let's talk about how these parenting styles are perceived. Claire Kim's concept of racial triangulation explains how Asian Americans are often praised for their academic success, but marginalized culturally. Parenting styles like strict discipline are frequently mischaracterized as harsh or overly controlling, ignoring the cultural values behind them. Stereotypes like Tiger Mom oversimplify these practices, reducing them to caricatures. As a Coach and Emery point out, research on marginalized populations often suffers from methodological biases, which can enforce these stereotypes instead of challenging them. To truly understand parenting styles, we must examine them through their cultural framework, which is a concept in 7.18. So, these societal biases often influence how we evaluate these parenting methods, and we often dismiss and disregard the cultural nuances. So, looking into our last piece of analysis through cultural analysis, let's explore this and realize that cultural nuances often shape the parenting practices and highlight these practices. Chow's concept of training highlights the intentionality behind authoritarian parenting, showing how it emphasizes effort and parental involvement. Similarly, Yim argues and discusses the influence of cultural values like filial piety, which prioritize respect and family responsibility. Through these cultural backgrounds of Asian Americans, and understanding these nuances, we can move on beyond the Western-centric judgments and appreciate the strengths of the diverse parenting approaches and its roots. This perspective is essential for creating more inclusive understanding of what effective parenting could look like. So, in conclusion, parenting is deeply tied to culture. Asian American parenting emphasizes structure, discipline, and interdependence, leading to high academic performance and strong family cohesion. European American parenting fosters individuality and open communication, supporting self expression and creativity. I believe neither style is inherently superior. Instead, they reflect different values and priorities. By adopting a multicultural lens, we can move beyond the simple stereotypes and recognize the strengths of diverse parenting practices. This understanding is key to supporting families in a multicultural society. And ultimately, I'd also like to include that not everything fits each Asian American family. Through the research that I've done, it is simply just a general consensus and general understanding of Asian American parenting. Vice versa, European American styles may differ family to family. It's just a general consensus and general understanding. And therefore, the more we move beyond stereotypes, the more we can truly understand and mix and blend different parenting styles in order to create one unity and accept our differences. And so for our references, we have some course sources from Van, Kim, Coach, and some of the external sources I've researched came from Chow, Tang, and Yim. Thank you for listening so far, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for listening.